Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Tech and Tunes. My name's Dee, and I'll be your omnipresent host. To mark this rather momentous occasion, I caught up with the founder and CEO of Pearlii, which is an awesome health tech startup based here in Melbourne. Before we get going, a little reminder that every episode of Tech and Tunes comes with a themed playlist put together by some amazing artists, producers, and enthusiasts. So stick around to the end of the episode for today's theme, our guest recommendation, and an absolutely hot fire playlist. So join me while I chat about offering people free beer for photos of their mouth at parties, health tech behaving very badly, and world domination with sentient humanoid dentist robots with Dr. Kyle Turner.
I don't think we've even seen the tip of the iceberg. I think the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable. I think we're actually on the cusp of something exhilarating and terrifying. It's just a tool though, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's an alien life form. What do you think? When you...
Okay, so I do need to preface this with an acknowledgement that the audio is pretty echoey and you will hear some of Melbourne's iconic trams on occasion, but hey, you're just joining us for a drink and this is real life, we're learning, etc., etc. But first up, some congratulations are in order.
But yeah, one thing I haven't done though is congratulated you on making the top 100 innovators.
This is your hard-hitting questions. Such bullshit. It's good. This is going.
So how did the top 100 innovators list come about? Was that out of the blue, or were you nominated?
Desperation. They were really struggling. 100 people is a lot of people. So they were scraping the bottom of the barrel, and they asked around, and I think a friend put my name forward.
Oh, okay. So you were nominated.
Yeah, I guess so, by a friend.
Yeah.
It's probably my mum or something.
A very good friend.
It would have been like mum or something.
Yeah, go mum.
I've got a name for you.
Go mum. And so, from that, is there like a media junket you need to do, or is it just like BAU?
It keeps the investors happy when you do stuff like that. You get some good press. No, there was no spike in sales or downloads or investment. It was just, I don't know, some nice recognition along the way. It's motivating for the team.
Yeah.
Because that's a tough one right off the bat. It was a hard one. So can I ask you a question? So why health, tech and tunes? This is episode 1, so I think people need to know what they're in for.
I'm asking the questions today, guys. No, I am obviously a massive health nerd. I find it deeply interesting and complex, and I think health's unique in that, it's the immediate tangible impact on people's lives, and society as a whole. When people are healthy and happy, everyone's having a good time.
Are you switching gears?
I'm not switching gears. That is genuinely...
You were just laughing. You were saying to go there, you're like, just like monotone voice, like professional as fuck. It's great.
No, this is just professional. But so basically I was like, I was doing a few jobs in health sector advisory, as you know, and everyone's talking about digital transformation, health technologies, this quite nascent market in Australia, and I realised that I was on the outside of it, and I was like, shit, my career is going to go nowhere if I don't understand this, and at the moment I'm not getting any clear avenues to do that. So I was like, okay, I want to learn, and I want to hold myself accountable, because as we said before, I need tough love, I need like a bit of direction. So I was like, all right, public forum, what can hold you more accountable than doing it in a public forum?
Doing it live.
That's next. Tech and Tunes Live is coming up. And then I was like, okay, well, how about I just sit down and actually talk to people that are fucking doing it, and learn that way, and then hopefully inspire some.
I can see you doing a startup. 5
people along the way that want to listen.
You've got the bug, I think, for startups. I can see you doing a startup.
You reckon? You're not projecting?
No, I could. Most people don't have it. Because you have to be nuts a little bit, and you have to really be into it.
Yeah.
Like I can see you doing that for sure.
Yeah. When you say you have to be nuts, what do you mean? Like make it your entire life?
Comfortable with risk.
Yeah.
I really like taking risks.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
This is true.
Do you like taking risks?
I do, yeah. In some aspects of my life, I think.
Yeah, it's all calculated.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's when the idea is yours and you see the potential of it before anyone else does, I think it's like reaching for that big carrot.
It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah.
When you get that idea, right?
Yeah. So what does that startup journey actually look like? Like you have a cool idea and then what? Like what took you from your kernel? Was it a drunken chat one night that was like, actually I should fucking do this? Or like what?
I don't think the idea comes first. Like almost a desire to have an impact, to do something big, or frustration. I was really frustrated. I was a PhD student when I did my first startup, which was an epic failure. It was a shit show. Lost all the investors' money and my own.
Okay. Right.
But I was really annoyed with the pace of academia. And before that I was working in government as an epidemiologist. That was even worse. That's why I did a PhD. I thought academia, I can make a big impact there. Bullshit.
Right.
And then I learned about the private sector and building companies, and you can move really fast, you can bend the rules.
Yeah.
You can build a business model that has a social impact. So I was hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that came out of the frustration with trying other ways to have an impact.
So wait, tell me about the failed startup. What was that in health as well?
I'm glad we're having champagne. It was. I'll rewind a bit. So I love taking risks, like big risks, because I grew up really poor, and there was no one really to look up to who was ambitious or successful. So the only way I was going to learn is to take big risks, to try and start businesses and just fail. But you'd learn really fast, and I start catching up with people who come from privilege. And so I've built up this approach to something new that I just dive straight in. And with the first startup, I did that and I made so many mistakes. But now the second one's going much better because I did that in the first one. I learned a lot from those mistakes. Does that answer your question? I think it was a big tangent.
No, that's interesting. But what was the actual startup?
Fuck. It was a healthy food delivery startup.
Oh, okay.
It's like Deliveroo. It's in 2016. And there was no Uber Eats.
Yeah.
It was called Fungry. Fucking Hungry.
Fungry.
Awful name for a health food thing.
No, but also hilarious.
Oh, it's terrible. So I had no idea about branding or marketing or building an app. But we did. We had 8 restaurants in Oxford, and we had a refugee kitchen. We cooked twice a week. We sold refugee meals. It was pretty good actually. We had an app. We launched for 6 months. We did deliveries every night. But I ran out of money. The tech kept breaking, and we kept losing customers. And the restaurants were angry. Didn't track the runway, and then completely burnt out. My riders were moved into my place. We're all like sleeping in a couple of rooms. It was a proper startup.
Right.
But just a shit show from start to finish. But I learned a lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd hope so.
yeah, don't do that.
So that was in Oxford, and then you bailed to Australia to escape your angry investors?
Burnt out. No, they were pretty good about it actually. It was only 100k, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Only 100k, yeah.
For investors, that's not. In business, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took a teaching job at the University of Melbourne in epidemiology.
Yeah.
Because I needed a job. I was flat broke. My brother bought my ticket. I put 30 grand into the first startup.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to do another one. So while I was teaching at Unimel, I was looking for another one.
Yeah. So the bug bit you in a big way, and then you were just kind of waiting for your next wave of inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found academia pretty cruisy, so I had a lot of spare time. And I kept teaching until mid-2020. and we'd raised a bit of cash by then, but I didn't want to take any money from the business, so I was paying staff. But then it was just too hard doing 2 jobs, so I quit.
Yeah. Cool. So how did Pearlii come about?
I know this is interesting.
Like when was that? Was it a rush of dopamine that like you get when you have a really good idea, or was it slowly building over time?
I knew I wanted to do computer vision. I went through an accelerator program in the UK, and a few of the other startups are doing computer vision. So you teach an algorithm, like a driverless car. So I knew about that, and I thought I wanted to do something that I could learn a little bit about coding. The algorithm is not the hardest part. It's actually getting data to train the algorithm. That's the hardest part. And then getting the domain expertise to label every image. In our case, tooth decay, so I need a dentist, and they're expensive. So the algorithm came last, and that was the easiest part. Anyway, that's a tangent. So for 2 weeks, I had 2 weeks annual leave. This is how I spent it. I was in Fitzroy, just down the road. I was actually living with Chrissy, a friend of mine. She did Verve superannuation, a really successful super fund for women here in Australia. She's taken off, but we were doing our startups at the same time. It was a really exciting time. We were pacing around the house, we'd fall asleep on the table and help each other. But I knew I had computer vision, so I was just doing heaps of research, like what requires any visual examination. So mole checks was one. Eye checks, I remember looking in the fridge, like how can you assess, like maybe you can prepare meals by like taking a photo of everything in your fridge and it recommends meals. So I remember putting post-its all around the house for like ideas, and then eventually I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom, and I just spent like $1,000 at the dentist, and I hadn't been for a while, and I still remember the exact moment I went like, dental checkups are like just a visual exam of the mouth. And it was like a eureka moment, and so that was. Did
you run naked down the street?
It was really exciting. It was genuinely really funny, and then I just spent a week just trying to pull it apart, to catastrophize it. And it had legs, and then I just got on with it. That was in 2018.
Sweet.
Yeah, really exciting when you get the idea. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So when you get your idea,
I'll call you.
Yeah.
I'll run naked down the street.
I hope I get at least a text.
So you've touched on a few things that actually I really want to explore. First of all, though, I think for anyone listening at home, maybe we should talk about like what Pearlii is, like what's it all about. I used it recently, but it'd be good to hear from you.
It's evolved because it's been nearly 4 years since I had the idea, and there was a pandemic in the middle of it. So we've pivoted a few times. Originally it's free dental checkups, so using your phone you take 5 photos, and we've got an algorithm that looks for tooth decay, gum disease, like build up a plaque, staining, things like that. And it's free dental checkup, and then at the end we give you oral health tips on how to improve your behaviours, so hopefully you have healthier teeth and gums. One of the ways we were going to make money was referrals to dentists. It was really important to me that it stayed free, but so we onboarded over 3,000 dentists around Australia, and you just got a map at the end of your checkup. We wanted more people going to the dentist, but then all the dentists closed when we launched in early 2020. They didn't reopen for another 2 years. And if they did reopen, they had this huge backlog of patients, so there was no way they were taking new appointments. So that business model was fucked.
Again, with the being agile and risk taking,
So that's what I'd raised, $200K pre-seed money, basically on an idea and a really basic app. That was the end of 2019, and they gave us $200K to build it properly, or just a better app, and then launch it on this website called Product Hunt. So when you do your health app or website, launch it on producthunt.com. It's huge in Silicon Valley. Tens of thousands of new product ideas go up there every year. We launched it in April 2020, and we got product of the month. It's upvoted like Reddit. Downvoted. Cool. We got thousands of people gave us the upvote. And yeah, it took off. It was really good. It's really fun and exciting. It was really shit app, but it worked.
Yeah.
And then that allowed us to raise our seed round, which is $1 million.
Yeah.
And then I could quit my job and hire some staff and started building it properly. I had to pivot from that business model, so I started creating our own line of eco-friendly oral care products. And we started building software for dental companies. That's those software solutions and the oral care products, how we make money.
So are the software solutions completely separate to your app and any of the kind of data that you get? It's completely separate of the business?
Yeah, that's, a couple of things are under NDAs we can't really talk about.
Yeah.
But that's right now, the oral care products we're building, there's month-to-month growth in sales, but we're making most of our money off our software.
Yeah. Okay.
For like clear aligner companies and a couple of dental chains and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it's interesting you said earlier about the mole scan idea, because I remember trying an app years and years and years ago to like at-home mole scans.
Yeah.
But every mole I scanned, it was just like, we recommend you go to a dermatologist. And I figured at the time it was because
Did you pay?
the risk. No.
It's exactly right, the risk.
But the risk of getting it wrong. So is computer vision, I'm assuming that's like image recognition.
Yeah.
Is that more reliable now than it was back then? Or what, is that risk still there? Does that keep you up at night?
No. Luckily we are dealing with, at worst, tooth decay. They're cancer, so
yeah.
It was one of the reasons why I steered clear of it. And there were a couple of startups just working on it. But I knew from getting to know a few other health tech companies in the UK that your regulation is usually based on risk to cause harm.
Yeah.
And ours was worst case, we missed tooth decay. So I steered clear of that. So we're actually a registered class 1 medical device with the TGA. I want to do clinical trials next year and get a higher grade and then use that for GPs and with the public dental system, because they've got this huge backlog of appointments. Like, or you at home, you've got a toothache and you rely on the public system, which is 35% of the population. How long do you expect to wait to go just get a general appointment for your toothache?
A week. I'd hope
at the moment in Victoria it's 3 years.
Yeah, I have heard this actually.
Okay.
But it's so outrageous that I don't want to believe it.
Yeah, it's the same in other states as well, because no one gives a fuck about dental. It's heavily privatised. 90% of dentists in Australia are private. They make a fortune.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big juicy public health problem you can go after that's been really slow to innovate. So the investors love that market.
So the reason why it was left off Medicare, from my understanding back in the day, was because like Gough Whitlam didn't want to deal with, like, he was already dealing with doctors. He was already dealing with doctors and like the AMA or whatever the equivalent was back then, I don't know, and just couldn't be fucked dealing with the dentists as well.
Maybe that's, I'm not sure.
And then obviously the cost as well on top of that. But
I've heard multiple versions. It's a lot of politics. I think dentists didn't want to be regulated, so they tried really hard and they were successful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There are some good dentists out there. They get a bad rap. But there are some fucking horrible dentists out there as well who over-treat.
Yeah.
Because they're running a private business. They don't make money by telling you in the chair that you're fine, you don't need anything.
Yeah, the financial incentive is purely...
They're trying to sell you Invisalign. Yeah. They're trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah. Which is, for anyone listening at home, not a reason to not go to the dentist, but it's a reason to find a good
dentist.
one.
Check the reviews.
Yeah.
Or email me. I'll recommend you some good dentists.
So actually, using the app, it's really user friendly, and I think when you go to the dentist. So in public health, we have this whole thing about trauma-informed care, and some dentists, people find it a very vulnerable, confronting experience to go to a dentist, because you're in this prone position, you have someone in your mouth, you're conscious, you have drills, it smells clinical, all of this stuff. Whereas with Pearlii, literally, I mean, you staring at it's confronting seeing yourself in the mirror doing it, but even the way that you can view your images, you're like prepped for how confronting it might be, and you can choose how to review your images.
A lot of people comment on that.
Yeah,
they're afraid of the dentist.
Yeah.
I've heard some horrible stories from people about dentists. They love that they can just do it themselves, and I think that's the future. Maybe you can comment on this. All the self-health checks and monitoring devices. What are they called?
Wearables.
I do think that's a big part of the future of healthcare. Our tech still needs a lot of work.
So is there something about teeth that makes it easier to use this computer vision or these algorithms compared to other body parts?
It has limitations. So tooth decay can happen internally, within the tooth, and we can't get that. And a dentist can't visually spot that either. So you need an X-ray.
Yeah.
So it does have limitations, but 65% of Australians haven't been to the dentist in the last 2 years. For money, time, access, people just don't all go to the dentist. So ours is free. It has limitations, but you can do it at home 24/7. It's free. So we need to weigh up the pros and cons, and despite the limitations, we think that the pros far outweighed any negatives. My mum would have killed for something like this. We were in country New South Wales, just poor, living in community housing. Going to the dentist was just not even possible. Never even would have come up in conversation. And teaching really basic health education, like brushing twice a day, flossing, dietary, don't drink a bunch of Coke. It's really basic stuff. It seems obvious to people who've grown up with these lessons, but for a lot of people, they don't have them. And for a parent to be able to just sort of scan their children's teeth, maybe once a year, every 6 months, we can add games to make it more engaging for the kids. That would be huge. So I believe the benefits far outweigh any negatives.
Here comes the serious part of the podcast where we explore the full potential of artificial intelligence.
Computer vision, artificial intelligence, right? I feel like artificial intelligence, obviously it's still very much a buzzword, but it still brings up these kind of iRobot connotations for some people, I think. What is the chance of Pearlii gaining sentience and becoming a little bit too involved in the oral health checkups?
I'd be so stoked. Pearlii was the first sentient being from tech. I'd be really happy with that.
Reach singularity or whatever. And what would it be like? Would its motives be benevolent, or did it be evil?
Just starts talking shit to you or something. No, it's AI's got a while to go. Cool. Can I first talk about how we developed ours? I touched on it before. So you need a huge data set. In our case, I need photos of people's mouths.
Not weird at all.
So health's really hard to do AI, computer vision, because of all the privacy, data privacy issues. Okay. Probably the hardest branch of computer vision is in healthcare. So I had to get photos myself. There's no freely available data set of dental images. So I had booths at parties, and I was giving a free beer to people who would give me 5 photos of their mouth. I honestly did that. I did 5 different parties.
It sounds like something you'd see in Berghain.
Yeah, I did that. Uber drivers, people in buses are like, can I have some photos of your mouth? And I eventually got a few hundred photos, and that was enough to do a really shitty prototype. And then the other challenge, even before you get to the algorithm, is the domain expertise. And not everyone knows dentists. Dentists are very busy as well. They're very expensive. Eventually found a friend of a friend of a friend who was a dentist, gave up some of his time, and you need to carefully label each dental image
It takes about 3 minutes on average to circle your tooth or outline your tooth. If you spot any tooth decay or staining or gum redness, so you've got to come up with all these annotation criteria. This is probably boring, you edit it out.
No, this is what I want.
And then you've got to build the software so the annotation criteria fits, like your colouring system. All this shit you had to build first before you can even get the algorithm. And then the algorithm was the easiest part because you can actually just copy in code, like what most software developers actually do. You just copy and paste code and then you run it.
Now you're going to make some software developers very angry by saying that.
We do a lot of memes at work in Slack about just copying code.
Fair enough. Don't reinvent the wheel.
All right.
So, with this database of like mouth images that you're compiling, dental images.
We've got over 50,000 now.
Yeah.
That have been labelled. I've got a team of dentists in India who are full-time working as labelling.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm like, well, are people still looking over them? Like.
Yeah, I want to get to 1 million. So, and then it's really accurate at that stage.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's a lot better than what it was 3 years ago.
So with this database of dental images, can you use that to explore other clinical applications of this or other indicators of disease or?
I don't want to do oral cancer, just it's pretty rare and the risk to cause harm if you get it wrong pretty great.
As you're saying, the mole scan.
Yeah, so I don't really want to go there, but there are other things you can look like ulcers, anything in the mouth, like the tongue can be quite revealing with different like shades and stuff. So we might look at the tongue, your lips, like cold sores. We might look at that stuff. But we kind of want to be known as the mouth guys. Anything in the mouth that a visual exam can detect, there's no reason why, in my mind, an algorithm can't.
Yeah.
So then a GP could use it, or a nurse, or an aged care, a school nurse doing checks. Ours would be extremely accessible and low cost, and you can screen for all these things.
Yeah. So whenever somebody uses the app, are you getting like a notification on your phone and you can see people's teeth and like, yes, Dee's clearly been brushing, excellent.
No, we've got crazy security. I don't even know how to get to someone's photos. It's behind so many layers and it's silent. Everyone's checkup's silent, so you can't actually access all our data. You have to go in one by one, so no hacker will ever do that because it'd take too long.
Yeah. And why would they?
Yeah, I don't know, some weirdo wants dental photos.
That guy at Bergheim.
Some real proper stalker. Someone's like, I need those photos.
Yeah.
So don't worry if you've uploaded photos.
I felt very self-conscious.
I'm not looking.
Is Kyle gonna see friends,
my friends get really worried. They're like, he's gonna totally fuck with me. So no, I've never looked at individuals. I wouldn't even know how to. The developers would, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty funny. Because it's quite a vulnerable position.
It was confronting.
It's a good moment to watch people actually look into their mouth. No one looks in their mouth.
No.
Before Pearlii, when was the last time you actually did like a mouth exam?
I don't know. I genuinely don't. I can't say I do it regularly.
So it's like a really nice moment where a couple minutes I've captured your attention.
Yeah.
And so that's when we need to try and improve your behaviours or sell you some oral care products.
That in turn improve your behaviours. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It all works out together.
Yeah. So can this replace dentists? And by replace dentists, I mean, you kind of touched on it before, but task shift. So all the triaging is kind of done digitally and then humans can focus on higher order tasks.
There's not enough dentists, particularly in the public sector. So we'll never replace dentists. I want more people going to the dentist. I want people who... So triaging would be ideal. So it's actually the greatest need, getting the help. So you can do that with a combination of the AI and like a questionnaire, like how much pain do you have, sensitivity, when was the last time you went to the dentist, and then we can make them higher priority, maybe in a booking system with the public dental system, because to deal with that backlog. So that's one idea that we're toying around with, but there are hundreds of thousands of other practitioners that aren't dentists they could use our tech to screen. So it's just a normal annual checkup with the GP. They don't look in your mouth. There's nothing on the MBS that's oral health related.
Right.
We want to be that tech. So that nurses, aged care, schools can use our tech to assess oral health.
So for those of us playing at home, the MBS is the Medicare Benefits Schedule, and this is essentially a list of all the medical services that the Australian government will pay a Medicare rebate for or give you financial assistance towards the cost of those services. So you might know this as bulk billing, where 100% of your general practitioner consult will be paid for by the Australian government.
That's the pipe dream.
Amazing. So
It'll take a few years.
So you see this as being practitioner-led still, no matter what the like humans are using.
It's complicated.
No, like the future of Pearlii isn't some like humanoid robot that lives in and like lives in people's house.
Has a killer playlist.
Yeah, and it's like, sit down, let me do your oral health checkup.
Yeah, that's the future. That's in my mind. You nailed it.
Bicentennial man, dentist version.
Yeah, you nailed it. No, I want to improve oral health. So there's two sides: public health, prevention, and treatment. We talked about this before, but the Pearlii app's great for prevention, like raising awareness and health education. But it always pissed me off that we didn't have a treatment side, because homeless, refugee groups, First Nations, there's a lot of people that need treatment that have no access. So we now donate half our profits to providing free dental care. We've only donated $5,000 so far. That was to buy a truck in East Timor for the dentist there. Dental nurse goes out to schools now.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. A bunch of toothpaste. But eventually we want to build our own fleet of Pearlii dental trucks.
Yeah.
So we'll be driving around the country with volunteer dentists. There's amazing dentists that want to volunteer. So that's the other. We haven't got to that side of the coin yet. But that's the real vision.
Yeah.
I said vision. Fuck.
The North Star.
Yeah, North Star. I almost said it.
Okay, new drinking game. Anytime a guest on Tech and Tunes mentions North Star. But hopefully the bicentennial man dentist mental image isn't turning you off. But I had to ask, what are some of the reasons why someone might not want to take their health into their own hands?
Being a public health gal myself, a lot of what you talk about particularly in like low resource settings, low income settings, whether or not it's, Indigenous communities or if it's, international, like low income countries, is the trust in medical providers and the Western medical model, that sort of component of it. Do people trust these technologies yet? Like, is that a barrier, do you think, for some people to taking it up? Do they go, it's a gimmick, or I don't get the data privacy aspect of it, or anything like that?
Increasingly, but I think there's always going to be a group that prefer to go to the dentist every 6 months and not use our tech, which is great.
Yeah.
They're not our target customer. Ours are the people that don't go regular or at all.
Yeah.
So they don't really have any other choice. So they either trust us, and it's our job is to make it credible by registering with the TGA, showing honest reviews and ratings. But you can take a horse to water. What was it? What's the saying?
You can take a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
Yeah, that is it, right? Well, it sounded wrong, but to the trough or something. But please, fuck it. You better edit this out.
I am leaving this in this.
It's the Melbourne Cup, by the way. It's why the horses are on my mind.
No, I think that's right. In that your target market is not the people who are going to be necessarily enthusiastically embracing.
They're fine. They have the money and the risk and the time. They have the access to dentists regularly, so they don't need us.
Yeah.
We might one day work with like a private health insurer. So dental cover is a loss leader for them. And they provide, often with extras cover, 2 free dental checkups a year. So they might license our tech and offer the 2, but they would get members points if they cut out one of those and used our tech.
Yeah.
So that's one model as well we might toy with down the line.
Yeah.
We'll still give half the money away, profits away for that, don't worry. Working with private health insurers is always interesting.
Yeah. Well, I guess a lot of private health insurers are kind of steering towards that business model of like healthcare in the home. You know,
Yes.
I mean, it's they're financially in their best interest.
Dentals,
keep people healthy.
Yeah, dentals on the routine checkups, they spend $300 million a year in Australia, private health insurers.
Wow.
If you cut out one of those checkups a year, that's huge savings for them.
Yeah.
So they're moving hard to all these digital health tech solutions.
Nice.
But they've got nothing for dental.
So, are you looking to break into international markets, or?
I'm just trying to survive at the moment. We're not profitable yet. We're getting there. We've got scalable tech, and the oral care products. We can send them anywhere, but very focused on Australia for now. It'll be a couple of years before we really looked anywhere else.
Okay.
I'll take it all back. Global domination is my North Star.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I knew it.
There
You
we
do
go.
have a bit of an evil genius kind of vibe about
Cool.
you.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Hence my mental image of like the humanoid robot that is way too involved in dental checkup.
so you see me.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, just someone that'll build a bunch of really creepy robots.
Oh gee. I'll build the robots. Okay, I want that.
So, has embarking on this journey to do with dental health made you more or less convinced that water fluoridation is conspiracy theory to keep us subdued as a nation?
Oh, jeez. I'm not a dentist, but I've spoken to a lot of dentists about that question because you'll be surprised how often that comes up.
Really?
It's no, from a public health point of view, if you look at the data, it's one of the best public health interventions we've ever had in Australia.
Right? Yeah.
It's brilliant. But you always get a few people that aren't happy, and I've had a few dentists tell us to also sell non-fluoride toothpaste.
Dentists?
Yeah. I know dentists that don't use fluoride toothpaste.
What's their reasoning?
We get enough through the water, and you don't want too much fluoride, I think, is their basic argument.
But if you're seeing a dentist like once a year, if that, then what's that one?
I'm just reporting back from
I'm shooting the messenger.
what
here.
I've been
I'm
told.
angry.
What I've been told.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think they're concerned about getting too much fluoride. If you keep adding it with the toothpaste and the water, I guess. So we probably will sell non-fluoride as an option with our toothpaste. Right now, it's fluoride only.
Okay, crazy.
Mind blown.
Yeah. So, in terms of obviously you've been on a couple of startup journeys. Like, what would be like the good, the bad, and the ugly about health tech startup land in Australia?
There's some bad ones. Do you want me to have a bitch about one of the startups I despise?
I mean, you're welcome to, but I was thinking
They're very
in
successful.
general from your perspective.
They're very successful. It's called Health Engine.
Health Engine.
Yeah, it's an online appointments. I'll probably get sued or something at some point because I keep bitching about them. I was at a purpose conference in Sydney last week.
Yeah.
And I was on a panel and I had to go with them. But they're horrible culture. So they've raised, I think, nearly 50 million or something. They're huge.
Wow.
They're the biggest in Southeast Asia for online appointments, for medical appointments.
So basically, between 2014 and 2018, Health Engine gave non-clinical personal information, so people's names, date of birth, phone numbers, etc., for over 135,000 patients to private health insurance brokers without telling people. So it earned over $1.8 million from this arrangement with private health insurance brokers during that period. Health Engine also admitted that between 2015 and 2018, it did not publish around 17,000 reviews and edited around 3,000 reviews to remove negative aspects or to embellish them.
And this is that trust thing you talk about. When you think a health engine, it must be good, so you don't question it. But yeah, they have been fined millions of dollars, so it's not just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's an example of, health tech done wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Please don't sue me. Luckily, I'm the first guest and no one's going to listen to this, so it's okay.
Oh, have some faith in tech and tunes. I'm just gonna fill up my glass. Fucking cheers to that.
Well, obviously this is gold, so they will listen.
Oh man, I mean, with that spicy take, how could they not?
All right, that's it for the tech. Now for the tunes. Every guest will be contributing to an amazing playlist within the theme of the episode. So in this case, it's all about oral health, dentistry, etc. I thought pretty intuitive theme is smile. I've asked Kyle for his recommendation, and today's playlist is being developed by an absolute leg end, my friend Dawit, who actually did the branding for Tech and Tunes as well. If you like the logo, I'm probably butchering it every time I post. I'm sorry, Dawit. But yeah, I'll link him in the show description so you can check him out. Produces and plays music, has potentially the best music taste of anyone I've met to date. Yeah. The coolest part for me about this concept is that anyone doing the playlist as well as the guests can interpret it in completely different ways. So I asked lovely Dawit to let me know how he had interpreted today's theme of smile. And he said, I guess I interpreted the theme like the playlist cover, smiling in different ways. Smiles are weird, so just did a broad spectrum of genres, all tunes that make me smile for different reasons. Basically, decorations for times of smile. I don't know if that makes any fucking sense. Well, lovely Dawit, it makes a small amount of sense, but we love you even more for it. And anyone listening should absolutely immediately head to it after the end of the episode. It is full of bangers. You will not regret it.
As you know, you had some homework today to bring to the table a song reco or an artist reco or album, whatever it might be, with the theme, within the theme smile.
It was good. It made me smile. It was researching this. Hours of research went into this.
I'm laughing because Kyle spent approximately 2 minutes researching this.
But I went with Lily Allen, Smile.
Okay, and why Lily Allen Smile?
It's a great song. Makes me smile.
It is.
And
Can I give it that?
yeah. I was going to go on more of a dental rant about the importance of smiling. You can listen to my podcast on the importance of smiling. Just go to pearlii.com. That's pearlii.com. And it's a great podcast.
Not as good as this one, but yeah, check it out, I guess. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Kyle Turner of Pearlii.
Thank you, Doctor.
The doctor, the guy who's definitely going to take over the world with his oral care robots any day now.
Thanks.
Thank you, it's been an illuminating chat.
It was fun.
Appreciate you being on.
It's great to be here. It's really fun.
Can't wait to follow your journey.
Thanks, mate.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. As I mentioned, you can find the playlist in the episode description or through Insta. We're also on LinkedIn. If you want to submit questions to future guests, make sure you sign up to the Tech and Tunes Patreon. And who knows, if you sign up, then maybe we might even learn how to remove echo from the audio. No promises though. I'll see you next time, but in the meantime, keep brushing, keep flossing, and definitely give Pearlii a download. It's free and you might learn something about yourself. Thanks, guys.